everybody for caring enough to come. My name is Luis Bolaños. I'm a private investigator. I'm accompanied today by Dr. Cheryl Arendt. Dr. Cheryl is one of this nation's leading clinical and forensic psychologists. You will be hearing from Dr. Cheryl shortly. Red Book investigation. That's why we're here today. Red Book investigation may lead to one of this nation's largest trails of child molestation in U.S. history. Who is the alleged person responsible for this? Riverside County Sheriff's Department Senior Investigator Kevin Duffy. We began work in this investigation in January of 2018 when numerous sources and whistleblowers came forward to us and asked us to start looking into these allegations. The more we looked, the more we confirmed that there was a lot of truth into what was being said. Our team has been working feverishly nonstop to conduct a very unbiased, ethical, transparent investigation. And I think at the end of this, you'll see that our work will speak for itself. We have had some incredibly credible sources and whistleblowers come forward. I want to talk a little bit about who Kevin Duffy was. Riverside County Sheriff's Senior Investigator Kevin Duffy was born on August 7, 1957. Kevin Duffy committed suicide on January 25, 2009 in room 132 of Motel 6 in Hemet, California. Kevin Duffy was one of the most well-respected, on duty within his department, deputies, and outside the community. He had strong ties to Riverside County, specifically Hemet. And when I say he was well-respected and acted as a mentor to not just deputies, but children and community members, it's an understatement. He was also a phenomenal investigator. He was handed some incredible cases, and he worked very hard on these cases and was able to get them to where they needed to go. Part of the problem here is that because of his reputation, this story never came out in 2009. Kevin Duffy was born in Inglewood. He was a resident of Hemet for the last 31 years of his life. Kevin Duffy began his service to the community as an EMT at Hemet Valley Ambulance in the late 70s. His career in law enforcement began in 1977 as a reserve officer with the San Jacinto Police Department. Somehow, Kevin Duffy ended up with a distinguished and honored career at the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Kevin Duffy implemented the Sheriff's Activities League, which provided a positive outlet for many of the Valley's youth. Kevin Duffy played a large role in helping the city of Idlewild construct their skating park. They have, and I believe it's still to this day, a trophy for the winners of the annual competition between Idlewild and Hemet skaters in Kevin Duffy's honor. It's called the Duffy Cup. Kevin Duffy was married for 24 years. He's a father, a grandfather. Riverside County Sheriff's Senior Investigator Kevin Duffy was also a serial child molester. I want to share with you some of the facts that we have confirmed through our investigation. In 2009, when this case first came to the attention of the Sheriff's Department, 2 victims, both children, came forward to law enforcement and stated they had been sexually molested and assaulted by Riverside County Senior Investigator Kevin Duffy. The investigation into the allegations made against Kevin Duffy was conducted by the Riverside County Sheriff's Department Central Homicide Team. A successful pretext call was made between one of the victims and Kevin Duffy. Kevin Duffy was interviewed by members of Riverside County Sheriff's Department Central Homicide Team. Kevin Duffy was walked off the job on January 12, 2009 for misconduct with a child. And January 15th, Kevin Duffy failed a polygraph examination that was administered by the San Bernardino Sheriff's Polygraph Unit. Sources and whistleblowers close to this investigation claim that as a result of the interviews and search warrants served at the home of Kevin Duffy in Hemet, investigators wanted to immediately arrest Kevin Duffy for numerous counts of child molestations. Sources and whistleblowers close to this investigation claim that investigators were ordered by the second floor. And I want to be clear, in Riverside County, when you hear second floor, that's a reference to Sheriff's Administration, upper administration, which is about a block behind them. Sources and whistleblowers claim that they were ordered by the second floor not to arrest Kevin Duffy and to send him home. Sources and whistleblowers close to the investigation claim that there were discussions that included maybe Kevin Duffy will go home and do the right thing. Kevin Duffy committed suicide by shooting himself in the head on January 25th of 2009 in room 132 of Motel 6 in the city of Hemet. Between the dates of January 12th of 2009 and January 25th of 2009, Kevin Duffy had 2 unsuccessful suicide attempts. Kevin Duffy attempted to hang himself, and he also attempted to kill himself by connecting a hose and exhaust inside his vehicle. And the only reason that didn't work was because a friend of his got there in time. Sources and whistleblowers close to the investigation strongly believe that there was at least 250 victims, 50 separate cases that were prosecutable against Kevin Duffy for child molestation. Sources and whistleblowers close to this investigation state that after senior investigator Kevin Duffy killed himself, investigators were ordered by the second floor not to contact any further potential victims or their families. Sources and whistleblowers close to this investigation state that the purpose of the list, we'll get back up. Sources and whistleblowers close to the investigation were ordered to provide a list to the HR department. This list included 250 potential victims of Kevin Duffy. Sources and whistleblowers close to this investigation claim that the purpose of this list was so that HR could contact the victims and their families. And remember, these victims were children between the ages 8 and 14, and offer a financial settlement. Sources and whistleblowers close to the investigation state that some of the evidence that was recovered at the home of Kevin Duffy when the search warrant was served, as a result, included a video audio which appeared to be senior investigator Kevin Duffy masturbating while watching a group of children he'd invited over to his home to play basketball. Sources and whistleblowers close to the investigation believe, because of the amount of work that Kevin Duffy put into the program, such as SAL, or programs similar to the DARE program, his access to children, that they needed to contact and put on notice 1,500 to 1,700 potential victims. To this day, they have never been contacted. This is 9 years ago. They have never been contacted. This is what is known as the Deckmobile, DEC, the Deck Motorhome. DEC is an acronym for Drug Endangered Children. Sources and whistleblowers close to the investigation state that Kevin Duffy used this vehicle, he had access to this vehicle to take children that trusted him on camping trips, some across state lines, and commit molestation. The purpose of this vehicle, drug endangered children, is to take to crime scenes such as drug labs, meth labs, and provide a safe, comfortable, soft environment for children at crime scenes so they can be interviewed, decontaminated, have a safe, comfortable environment. If you look at it closely, and this, by the way, is from the sheriff's website. It is still on there today. It was this morning. You'll see teddy bears on it. On the back of it, you will see stickers, emblems from people who donated monies for the purpose, the intended purpose of this vehicle. This vehicle, which initial intent was to take to crime scenes, became a rolling crime scene itself. I have no idea this vehicle is still in use today. About a week ago, we submitted a FOIA request to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. FOIA is a Freedom of Information request, as most of you know, I'm sure. We were denied for a variety of reasons, but two of the reasons that really stick out and just speak for themselves is that they didn't want to release the information because they believed it was in the betterment of society. Another reason was that this is an ongoing investigation. Once again, sources and whistleblowers close to this investigation state that is not the case. There is not an investigation going on. That information is false. That FOIA request was put in on that case number. That case number right here, report number, Riverside County Sheriff's Department report number R09014005 is the key to confirming. That case number is the key to confirming whether or not there's validity, credibility to these allegations. I urge anybody and everybody to do their best to legally obtain that report. And I ask Sheriff Stan Sniff to please release that report. Let it speak for itself. Make the appropriate redactions and release that information. Okay, Dr. Cheryl.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Cheryl Arrett. I'm a licensed clinical and forensic psychologist, and I've spent the past 20 years of my career assessing and treating trauma and PTSD, including sexual abuse. I'm here to tell you that sexual abuse of boys is common, it is underreported, and it is undertreated. 1 in 6 boys has been sexually abused before the age of 18. This means that there are as many men walking around who were sexually abused as kids as there are men who have had prostate cancer, the #1 cancer in men. The difference is that we talk about things like prostate cancer and we recognize them as a national and global problem. But the problem with child sexual abuse, particularly for boys, is that boys don't talk about this. They feel humiliated, they feel shame, they blame themselves, they're afraid they won't be believed. I heard in this case that apparently some kids tried to speak and may not have been believed because, like in many, many cases, The perpetrator is somebody trusted by the family and trusted by the community. This is not a stranger danger problem. In child sexual abuse, 9 out of 10 times the perpetrator is someone the child knows. Under the age of 6, it's very often a family member. And in 60% of the cases, child sexual abuse predators are somebody the family trusts. So these are people we know in the community, and this is an example of potentially a cover-up of one of the largest cases in history. So I wanted to just let everyone know that men who have experienced child sexual abuse are at risk of a number of very significant mental health problems that non-abused people are not at risk for. The attempted suicide rate for someone who's been sexually abused as a kid is between 1.5 and 14 times higher than if they're not abused. 35% of kids who are abused develop post-traumatic stress disorder. The rate of depression is 65%. It's very common to have difficulties with your interpersonal relationships, your intimate relationships, your sense of yourself as a man, your sense of your worth in the world, trust in the world, at risk of substance abuse, at risk of high-risk behaviors. There are some times when guys will feel like they need to prove what a man they are by doing a lot of risky sexual behaviors or doubting themselves. There are a lot of people out there. If this case is any indication of the number of victims that may potentially be out there, we are talking about men probably in their 20s and 30s who are probably suffering in silence and may not even connect the difficulties that they're having in their lives with this event directly. But I'm here to say that if you were abused by an adult as a kid, it is not your fault. You are not to blame. And even though the risks are very significant, they are highly treatable. We have really good trauma therapies that are available, such as EMDR, that can reduce this suffering and give these men the lives that they deserve, to be able to get their lives back. So if you haven't said anything, now would be a really good time to come forward. If you tried to say something and you weren't believed, this would be a really good time to come forward. Real men speak up. Real men can get real help. And I wanted to let everybody know that this is a very important issue and you don't have to be on your own about it. And we have a hotline, 833-44-CHILD, which is 833-442-4453. So please call if you or someone you know has experienced this, had access, if Mr. Duffy had access to you when you were younger. This is a very good time to get help and speak up. Thank you.
Okay, questions?
How many possible victims of the 250 you believe could be out there or were identified have you personally been in touch with?
We have not been in touch with any of the victims ourselves. It's very touchy because, number one, we can't get a copy of the report, and all the information we've obtained has not come through the victims. It's come through sources and whistleblowers. That's why we're putting the hotline out there, because we're hoping victims will call and know that it's a safe number to call, and they will get the help and attention they need and deserve.
Were any of the children of other deputies abused or used in any way as part of what this investigator was doing? I understand he was a mentor to a lot of deputies and probably had access to their children as well. Have any of them come forward saying that they believe their children may have been victims as well?
As of this time, no one's come forward yet. I have seen blogs referring to faces of other deputies' children that were superimposed on child porn, but we have not been able to confirm or deny that. Child porn that was found in possession of Kevin Duffy, but that is one of the things we're pursuing.
You said you've been working to verify all the information from the sources and whistleblowers. Can you talk to us about what you have done during this investigation and just confirming it started in January of this year?
January 2018, correct. Yeah. our investigators have personally interviewed sources and whistleblowers. And we also have obtained some documents that confirm what we're being told.
Like?
Closer to the mic, please.
Sorry. We have obtained some documents that confirm the allegations we're being told. We will be releasing those documents shortly. I'm unable to discuss those specifically, but we do have documents, just not that police report.
And so the number, the 250 number that you're getting is directly from the sources and whistleblowers?
Yes, ma'am, correct.
Who I assume have had access to the paperwork?
Yes, they have access. We have not obtained any paperwork or reports from them. The way we obtained the documents that confirm that was in a legal manner.
Do you have a client in this case?
No, no client. This is strictly pro bono. We're not representing anybody. We're not charging anybody. This is just what we do. We're a group of 22 very experienced investigators from up and down the state of California. Our team includes incredible individuals like Dr. Cheryl Arup that have joined us for the last 10 years on causes like this.
So what exactly are you accusing, and who are you accusing? What are you alleging?
These sources and whistleblowers are accusing Deputy Senior Investigator Kevin Duffy of possibly the largest molestation case in U.S. history that went uncovered for almost 10 years ago.
You're saying at the direction of both sheriff's departments, they were ordered not to further investigate?
Just one sheriff's department, Riverside County Sheriff's Department. As far as my knowledge, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department was only involved in administering the polygraph.
And their motive for that is what?
Motive for the Sheriff's Department? I have no idea. I have no idea why they would quell this and not contact the victims, because that's what we were taught to do. I come from the same department. That's the magic question. It's a great question for Stan Smith. I don't know.
Now, the DA back then was Rod Pacheco, if I'm correct.
Correct.
When polygraph tests were given, interviews, evidence was compiled, they obviously have a case file on this. Have you tried to get documents from them? And what are they saying? Did they assist in the quote-unquote cover-up that's being alleged? Or why didn't they come forward themselves and try to find these victims to help them?
That's a great question. I have no idea why they shut this down back in 2009 and made zero attempt to contact these 250 victims to interview them. I know that they said they were going to be contacted through HR, like I mentioned earlier, to come up with some type of financial arrangement. But again, if there was a financial agreement with these 250 victims, the victims were all kids. And that agreement could only have been made with their parents. So just on that alone, how is that right for the kids?
Do you know if any financial settlements were made?
I don't have any information on that yet. I have no clue.
Is there any legal ramifications for the actions of the so-called second floor, or were they justified?
I think there is. I'm sure that they maybe have some issues in civil arena as this thing progresses. Criminal-wise, maybe. We're still looking into that. So it's a possibility. They're going to have to answer some very tough questions.
Now, when he was quote-unquote sent home to do the right thing, did he take his life with his service weapon, or was that taken away at any point?
I do know that after the interview where they sent him home, where they wanted to arrest him, they took his duty weapon and sent him home on what appeared to be paid administrative leave. They took his weapon. What they did not know is that Senior Investigator Kevin Duffy had two weapons that he had at a pawn shop in Hemet, I believe. One was a .38 revolver. The other was a .22 rifle. He used a .38 revolver to commit suicide. He also took the .22 rifle to the home of one of his victims and gave it to them as a gift.
Before he killed himself?
Yes, ma'am.
And you believe all of the victims were boys?
I'm being told by sources and whistleblowers that yes, ma'am.
Do you believe the acting sheriff had any involvement or knowledge of this investigation, or what his role was?
Based on history, and I come from the sheriff's department and from the DA's office, I don't see how he couldn't know. I just don't see it. He'll have to explain that. It's possible, but I seriously doubt it. And I want to be clear, the current DA, Mike Heskren, as far as I know, he had nothing to do with this. This is before he took the helm at the DA's office. This would have been, I believe, Stan Sniff and Rod Pachuca both would have known and would have to agree that it was okay and the right thing to do to send this guy home.
So you worked, did you know Kevin Duffy?
No, sir. I don't think I ever met the man. I remember 19 years ago that I heard he had committed suicide. I don't know how I heard. And that's all I remember. But other than that, I don't think I ever met the man.
What did the whistleblowers and sources tell you about why they, if they contacted you, why did they do it, or how did you start speaking with them?
Well, the way it initially started was that about 6-7 months ago, I was asked to do a cursory look into a cheating scandal at the sheriff's department involving a large group of deputies who cheated, apparently, allegedly, on their investigator's test. And all I did was a cursory look and read a lot of press that was written about it, spoke to just a few people, but in that, I kept hearing a common theme. Well, you think that covered it? Because there's a belief, and I'm not saying I'm supporting this, but that these investigators, these deputies that cheated on the test weren't penalized correctly, and their penalty should have been termination. You have Brady issues once that happens. And some of them, in fact, were allowed to retest and have been promoted since. So I just a cursory search into that, but what kept coming up as we're looking into that is that you should look into the Kevin Duffy case. What are you talking about? Well, Kevin Duffy was arrested for probably the largest molestation trail in U.S. history. What are you talking about? I kept hearing this theme over and over again. And we took a hard right turn, our team, from investigating the cheating scandal into Kevin Duffy.
But was he not arrested? You just said that was he arrested ever, or he was sent home?
Kevin Duffy was never arrested. He was sent directly home after his interview.
And the investigators, they all wanted to arrest him. They were ready to arrest him. Are they not involved in any of the cover-up, or do you want to make...
I don't know who's involved in if this is a cover-up. Look, there's always a chance that Sheriff Stan Sniff will have a very reasonable explanation for this, and I would embrace that. You know, it's a little early to yell cover-up yet. It's obviously disgusting and disturbing. The investigators, I believe, from the Central Homicide Team, they were assigned to handle this investigation. I think they were Weinstein. I think that they were worried about their career, committing career suicide without towing the county line. I don't have any reason to think that they didn't do their job. I think that they attacked this aggressively and made the right decisions. I just think that decisions were taken out of their hand.
How many whistleblowers have you been in touch with, and how many of them still work at the Sheriff's Department, if they all work at the Sheriff's Department?
Some are still there, some are retired, and I can leave it at that right now.
You can't tell us how many.
Not yet, no, I'm sorry.
Are most of them still there, or are most of them retired?
Some are still there, some are still retired.
So do you believe some victims were paid off?
I don't know. I know that there was a list provided to go make that deal and may offer the settlement. I don't know if that settlement ever came to fruition with any of the victims.
So will the victims who come forward and call that hotline, are they going to be represented by someone like you in a lawsuit, or are they going to get help, or what do you want to come of this?
The only purpose of this hotline is to give them the help they need and to get the details, the specifics from the mouths of the victims themselves. If they want to pursue this in any way, shape, or form, that's up to them. I will provide them with any and all information that we have covered
What do you know about Duffy's MO, about how he approached these children allegedly, and if there was a common thread?
Well, I do know that he had a couple of things. He had such a phenomenal reputation with the community and the Riverside County Sheriff's Department and he spearheaded so many organizations specifically for children. He surrounded himself on duty and off duty with a number of these organizations, and he used that as a shield of trust to gain entry into the lives of these children who came from disturbed backgrounds. They were with him for a reason and trusted him, so did their families. I know that his age of preference was 8 to 14 boys.
The other thing is it's very common for male perpetrators of child sexual abuse of boys to self-identify as heterosexual. So this is not a gay man problem. This is something that is also one of the myths and misconceptions, that there's an enormous power differential, and very often perpetrators can be very crafty at gaining trust and access to children in ways that seem legitimate. So that's one of the tricky things about this, is that this was really a perfect job for someone who wanted to get kids who were vulnerable alone.
So if it shows that there was a cover-up, what do you think should happen? Do you think criminal charges should be filed against administration of the Sheriff's Department? What's the goal there?
Well, my personal opinion on this is that the full, untainted, transparent investigation should be conducted. All the information should be put on the table, and once that's accomplished, they should come up with a decision. But I don't think the Sheriff's Department should investigate themselves. And from day one, this case screamed of a conflict of interest. They should have never, ever had the opportunity to investigate one of their own, especially someone as beloved as Kevin Duffy. And again, I want to stress, I believe the Central Homicide Team did everything they could to be as fair and impartial in this as they could. But somehow, from the second floor, there became a huge, obvious conflict of interest.
Can you go over again what your understanding is of why he was sent home, what the complaint was?
I don't know why he was sent home. I don't know. I know that they wanted to arrest him on the spot and protect any other victims out there from him being out mobile and unsupervised and out in public and having free reign. He was sent home and he had free reign for 10 days. I have no idea why they sent him home. I just don't know. It doesn't make any sense at all. I know the two victims came forward initially to complain that they were abused by him. If I'm hearing your question correctly.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's how this started.
When was that?
Pardon me, sir?
When was that in relation?
That was about a week before he was interviewed. But I have no idea why they sent him home. It doesn't make any sense.
And you don't know those two here? People.
The victims, sir? No, I don't know any of the victims. Yes.
Isn't it hard to believe that there's one of the victims, one of them is ever coming forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't understand. I don't understand why they haven't come forward. There may be a reason behind that.
What were the two victims' ages, the ones that came forward?
Don't know the ages.
And can you tell us more about the group of alleged victims, not just their age, but maybe was there a specific region, race, background?
Just that they were all male and they were all part of one of these programs that Kevin Duffy spearheaded. The SAL program, that he had access to the DEC program mobile, the Drug Endangered Children, the skate park in Idlewild.
So you think settlements might have been made? And that's the reason it was given?
It's possible. It's just possible. I don't know. I have no idea.
Is the state parks, the skate park, still in operation up there in Idlewild? And am I mistaken, or was it named after him?
I don't know if it was named after him. All I know is that they did have one time for a series of years the competition between Idlewild and Hemet for the Duffy Cup at that state park. And he was huge in getting that state park in place. Kevin Duffy was.
So when he died, it just said he was no mention of what he could have done. No search for victims was ever attempted.
To the best of my knowledge, that's what I'm being told. If you go and search the internet for Kevin, you'll see Kevin Duffy's obituary, and it's pretty powerful. He was the greatest guy on this planet. There's no reference anywhere other than certain blogs and some people that made posts that he had anything to do with molestation.
Did he ever have any sort of criminal record?
Not to my knowledge, ma'am. I would hope not, being in the position he was in.
Did he ever investigate child molestations himself?
He did. He investigated a lot of child molestations. That was one of his specialties. And he had a lot of successful investigations. He was an excellent investigator.
Your message to parents who are probably freaking out thinking, oh my God, my son went camping with Kevin Duffy in that mobile that you just showed, or to someone who's maybe 30 years old, your message to them?
Well, I would start by saying, call our hotline, seek help, if not from us. But I'll leave that to Dr. Aru to address things that they could pursue if they're wondering what to do.
Dr. Arrett.
Eric.
If somebody thinks that this may have touched their lives, the message is really that this is treatable, this is healable, there is help out there. The reason that most people don't come forward with sexual abuse, whether they're girls or boys, is that there's stigma and there's an incredible amount of shame and humiliation and self-blame that kids feel. I mean, if you think about divorce, kids blame themselves. They think that's their fault. Kids think that the bad things that happen to them are their fault. And so the message is that this is never the child's fault. And blaming yourself is not real and can have long-ranging effects on your mental health. So I'm here to be able to let people know that it is okay to speak up, that this is a common problem, it's an underreported problem, and it's a treatable problem. And this is a way to get it.
Your message, Lewis, to the sheriff and the DA now?
To release that report. Redact it correctly, make the appropriate redactions, and release the report. That will address 90-95% of all your questions, all our questions.
Do you have any idea of what the span was between when the alleged molestation began and ended?
I know at minimum it was 6 to 7 years.
Can you also tell us about...
I want to address, just add that if he was a pedophile, a child molester, that didn't start in those years. This was probably a way of life for him his entire adulthood, if not beyond that.
Can you tell us about Get Fit Investigations, what you do and why and how long it's been around?
Get Fit Investigations has been around for about 12 years now. We're about 28 strong, retired peace officers, investigators, FBI agents, individuals like Dr. Cheryl Arrett, who are the best in their field. 90-95% of everything we do is pro bono. We don't charge a dime. If you meet our threshold, if your case makes sense to us, the story needs to be told, or your voice needs to be heard. That's what we do, for the right reasons.
Okay. Doctor, can I get you to spell your name, first and last?
Yes, it's Cheryl, last name Arutt, and my degree is Psych, PSYL.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the time.
Well, that concludes the press conference here. Here's the report number. Kevin Duffy, former Riverside County Sheriff's investigator. Again, he committed suicide in 2009 at a Motel 6 in Hemet. Anyone who believes their child was abused, molested, came in contact with him, they are urged to call this hotline, 833-44-CHILD. And let me come in the sun, get out of the way here. I think other people are trying to shoot video here, but just come in the sun and just, you know, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I also have in addition to this news conference, I do have a special report with one of the whistleblowers that it's an exclusive report that no one else has, exclusive to KMIR, and that will shed a lot more light. And we also did request an interview with the Riverside County Sheriff, Stan Sniff. We want to give him the opportunity to set the record straight, give his side of the story. You know, there's always two sides of the story, and you know, we don't know what they're alleging one thing, but it could be something completely different. We also did request documents from the District Attorney's Office, Mike Hestrin, under the California Public Records Act. We were sadly denied some of those documents, all of them actually, but you will find out a little bit more on my story tonight. Thank you for joining us here in beautiful Riverside, and this is such a it was such a sad topic and really tough to hear, and I certainly hope that if these allegations are true and this turns out to be the most prolific case of child molestation in U.S. history, I really hope and pray that every victim who is out there gets help. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.